Hello everyone, this is me, Garima Singh. Today we will discuss about class 10th history, that is India and the Contemporary World Part 2. Firstly, I covered class 10 and I am moving to class 9. I am moving on a descending order. So this chapter is all about rise of nationalism in Europe. So first chapter is this events and processes. So we directly go to the question part of this chapter where we discuss questions various leader emerged at that time. So we'll discuss about them and what there is numerous war happened, like Greek War of Independence. Then various things happen. We will discuss all through the question and answer. So without wasting time, let's move on to the question part directly. Then we discuss rise of nationalism in Europe through question solution. So here the first question is write a note on Giuseppe Mazzini. So you have to write a note about him. He played a very major important role at this period of time. So in this one you can write Giuseppe Mazzini was born, in 1807 and he became a member of the secret society of the Carbonery. As a young man of 24, he was sent to exile in 1831 for attempting a revolution in Bulgaria. He subsequently founded two more underground societies. First was Young Italy in Marseilles and then Young Europe in Bern. Was memorable like Mind Young Man from Poland, France, Italy, and German state. So Mussolini believed that God has intended nations to be natural units of mankind. So this is what you can wrote about it. Any other point if you want to add on, you can wrote in this one. Second is Count Camillo de Cavour. So Chief Minister Cavour, who led the movement to unify the region of Italy, was neither a revolutionary nor a democrat. Like many other wealthy and educated members of the Italian elite, he spoke French much better than he did Italian. Now, a tactful diplomatic alliance with France engineered by Cavour, Sardinia's Piedmont succeeded in defeating the Austrian forces in 1859. Apart from regular troops, a large number of armed volunteers under the leadership of Giuseppe Garibaldi joined this fray. Then third is the Greek War of Independence. So an event that mobilized nationalist feeling among the educated elite across Europe was the Greek War of Independence. Greece had been part of the Ottoman Empire since the 15th century. The growth of revolutionary nationalism in Europe sparked off struggle for independence among the Greeks, which began in 1821. Nationalists in Greece got support from other Greeks living in exile and also from many West Europeans who had sympathized for ancient Greek culture. The D is Frankfurt Parliament. So, in the German regions, a large number of political associations whose members were middle class professional, businessmen, and prosperous artisans came together in the city of Frankfurt and decided to vote for an all German National Assembly. On 18 May 1848, approx 831 elected representatives marched in a festive procession to take their places in the Frankfurt Parliament convened in the Church of St. Paul. They drafted a constitution for a German nation to be headed by monarchy, subject to a parliament. When the deputies offered the crown on these terms to Federation fourth King of Prussia, he rejected it and joined the other monarch to oppose the elected assembly. So you can write this much as if you want to add points from your end, you can add more. I'm just discussing from my point of view what I thought, like if I'm still I'm gonna write in this one. We done with the next is the role of women in national struggle. So women participated on a large scale and played a vital role a nationalist struggle of French, German, and that of Italian. They formed their own political association, newspaper, and journals, and participated in demonstration and political meetings. However, despite their enthusiastic participation in the struggle, they continued to play a secondary role in the social and political sphere. Even during the election to all the German Nationalist Assembly, they were denied the right to vote. In the Frankfurt Parliament, they were allowed merely as an observer, not as a participant. So, then question number second. What step did the French Revolutionary take to create a sense of collective identity among the French people? So, from the beginning, the French Revolutionary introduced various measures and practices that could create a sense of collective identity among the French people. I mean, the idea of l'apartheid, that is the fatherland, enlisted on the citizens, emphasizes the notion of a united community among enjoying equal rights under a constitution. A new French flag, the tricolor, was chosen to replace the former royal standard. The state's journal was collected by the body of active citizens and renamed the National Assembly. New rhymes were composed, then oaths taken and martyrs commemorated, all in the name of nation. Then a centralized administrative system was put in place, and it formulated uniform laws for all citizens within its territory. Internal customs, duties, and dues were abolished, and a uniform system of weight and measures was adopted. Regional dialects were diagnosed, and French, as it was spoken and written in Paris, became the common language of the nation. Next is who were Marianne and Germania? What was the importance of the way in which they were portrayed? So female uh, were invented by artists in the 19th century to represent the nation. In France, she was praised Marianne, a popular Christian name which underlined the idea of a people nation. Her characteristics were drawn from those of liberty and republic. The red cap, the tricolor, the cockade statue of Marin were erected in a public square to remind the public of the national symbol of unity and to persuade them to identify with it. Marin images were marked on coins and stamps. Similarly, Germania became the allegory of the German nation. In visual representation, Romania wore a crown of oak leaves as the German oak stand for heroism. Then fourth is briefly trace the process of German unification. So nationalist feelings were widespread among middle-class Germans who in 1848 tried to unite the different regions of German Confederation into a single state governed by an elected parliament. This liberal initiative to initial building was however repressed by the combined forces of monarchy and the military and supported by large landowners called Junker of Prussia. From then on, Prussia took on the leadership of the movement of national unification. I mean, its chief minister Otto von Bismarck was the architect of this process, carried out with the help of Prussian army and bureaucracy. Three wars over 7 years with Austria, Denmark, France ended in Prussian victory and completed the process of unification. I mean, in January 1871, the Prussian King William I was proclaimed German Emperor in ceremony held at Warsaw. Then fifth is, oh, what change did Napoleon introduce to make the administrative system more efficient in the territory ruled by him? So within the wide swath of territory that came under his control, Napoleon set about introducing many of the norms that he had already introduced in France. Through a return to monarchy, Napoleon had no doubt destroyed democracy in France, but in the administrative field he had incorporated revolutionary principles in order to make the whole system more rational, efficient. The Civil Code of 1804, usually known as Napoleonic Code, did away with all privileges based on birth, established equality before the law, and secured the right to property. This code was exported to the region under French control. In the Dutch Republic, Switzerland, in Italy, and Germany, Napoleon simplified administrative divisions, abolished the feudal system, and freed peasants from serfdom and manorial dues. In the town, too, guild restrictions were removed. Transport and communication systems were improved peasant, artisans, worker, and new businessmen enjoyed a newfound freedom. Businessmen and small producer of goods in particular began to realize that uniform laws, standardized weight and measures, and a common national currency would facilitate the movement and exchange of goods and capital from one region to another. So this you can write in it. This you have to discuss, but explain what is meant by 1848 revolution of the liberals. What were the political and social and economic ideas supported by the liberals? So this is the French Revolution. So liberalism had stood for the end of autocracy and clerical privilege, a constitution and representative government through parliament. 19th century liberals also stressed the inviolability of private property. The member of French Revolution nonetheless continued to inspire liberal. One of the major issues taken up by the liberal nationalists who criticized the new conservative order was freedom of the press. Parallel to the revolt of the poor, unemployed and starving peasant and worker in many European countries in the year 1848, a revolution led by the educated middle class was underway. Events of February 1848 in France had brought about abdication of the monarch and a republic based on universal male suffrage had been proclaimed. In other parts of Europe, where independent nation states did not yet exist, such as Germany, Italy, Poland, Austro-Hungarian Empire, men and women of the liberal middle class combined their demand for constitutionalism with national unification. They took advantage of the growing popular unrest to push their demand for the creation of a nation state on parliamentary principle. A constitution of freedom of the press and freedom of association is found. Then the question you can write by on I'm gonna discuss I'm gonna discuss the second questions. Next is choose three examples to show the contribution of culture to the growth of nationalism in Europe. First, you can write about Romanticism was a European cultural movement aimed at developing nation unity by creating a sense of shared heritage and common history. The Romantic artist emphasis on emotions, institution, and mystical feelings give shape and expression to nationalist sentiment. Then second, you write about folk songs, dance, and poetry contributed to popularizing the spirit of nationalism and patriotic fervor in Europe. Collecting and recording the different form of folk culture was important for building a national conscience. Then third, you can write language. Language also played a distinctive role in developing nationalist feeling in Europe. Example is like of this is how during Russian occupations the use of Polish came to be seen as symbol of struggle against Russian dominance. So during this period, Polish language was forced out of school and Russian language was imposed everywhere. So following the defeat of an armed rebellion against Russia in 1831, many members of Courage in Poland began using language as a weapon of national resistance. So three things I have discussed: language, fourth is folk song, dance, poetry, and third is romanticism, that is through art. Then third is through a focus on any two countries, explain how nations developed over the 19th century. So the development of German and Italian nation, I'm discussing two countries. I took one Germany and Italy. So I'm discussing on their own. So development of German and Italian nation state based on various points like political fragmentation till the middle of 19th century. The present day nation of Germany and Italy were fragmented into separate regions and kingdoms. Then second is revolutionary uprisings. So 19th century Europe was characterized by both popular uprising of the masses and revolution led by educated liberal middle classes. So the middle class belonging to the different German region came together to form an all German National Assembly in 1840. However, on facing opposition from the aristocracy and military and on losing its mass support base, it was forced to disband. Then in the Italian region during 1830s, revolutionary like Giuseppe Mussolini sought to establish a unitary Italian republic. However, the revolutionary uprising of 1831 and 1948 failed to unite Italy. Then third is the unification with the help of armies. So after the failure of revolution, the process of German and Italian unification was continued by aristocracy and the army. Germany was united by Prussian Chief Minister Otto von Bismarck with the help of Prussian army and bureaucracy. The German Empire was proclaimed in 1871. Then the Italian state of Sardinia, Piedmont played a role similar to that played by Prussia. Count Camara the chief minister, led the movement to unite a separate state of 9th century. I mean, Italy, with the help of army, had an alliance with France, so the region annexed by Giuseppe Garibaldi and his Richard joined with the northern region to form a united Italy. So the Italian nation was proclaimed in 1861. The Papal State joined in 1870. Then fourth is how was the history of nationalism in Britain unlike the rest of Europe? So the history of nationalism in Britain the history of unlike the rest of Europe cause in Britain the formation of nation state was not the result of sudden upheaval of revolution. The primary identities of the Europe who inhabited the British Isles were ethnic ones such as English, Welsh, Scots, and Irish. So the Act of Union 707, 1707 between England and Scotland resulted in the formation of United Kingdom of Great Britain, meaning that England was able to impose its influence as on Scotland's distinctive culture and political institution was systematically suppressed. So a few more things you can write in this one. I just discussed two of them. You can write more like let me think what we can write more on this one. So that's more point I guess you can write in this one. That basically I've discussed about inhabitants and one. So English nations steadily grew in wealth, importance and power. It was able to extend its influence over the other nation of the islands. So the English Parliament, which had seized power from the monarchy in 1688 at the end of portrayed conflict, was this instrument through which a nation state, with England at the center, so came to force. Even I discussed the Act of 1707. So the growth of British identity meant that Scotland's distinctive culture, political history was systematically suppressed. Like I said, the Catholic clans that inhabited the Scottish Highlands were forbidden to speak their Gaelic language or wear the nation dress, and large number were forcefully driven out of the homeland. This you can write on it, as well as let me see what you can write in this one. Then next is why did nationalist tensions emerge in Balkan states? So you have to write in this one what you can write in this one. Just think about it. I'm also thinking what you can write in this one. Oh, I have mentioned few points. Forget to mention in this one that you can write. England helped the Protestant of Ireland to establish their dominance over a largely Catholic country. Catholic revolts against British dominance were suppressed. Ireland was forcibly incorporated into the United Kingdom in 1801. Then, symbol of New Britain, the British flag, the national anthem, the English language was actively promoted, and the older nation survived only as a subordinate partner in this union. Then, why did nationalist tensions emerge in Balkans? So, nationalist tension emerged in Balkans because of the spread of the ideas of romantic nationalism, as also the disintegration of the Ottoman Empire that had previously ruled over this area. Then the different Slavic communities in Balkan began to strive to independent rule. They were jealous of each other, and every state wanted more territory, even at the expense of other. Also, the hold of imperial power over the Balkans made the situation worse. Russia, Germany, England, Austro-Hungary all wanted more control over this area. These conflict ultimately led to the First World War in 1914. So this thing you can write in this one. We are done with first chapter of history. Next lecture we will discuss about next chapter. That's for today. Thank you.